Jason. I told the president. Oh, they're hot.
Yeah,
They're hot.
get careful.
I told the president that I'll say the right things, but I won't be completely, just continued support. That's all the spray, right?
Yeah.
Can we lower this?
Move it to the side too if you need.
I ain't that tall, bro. Everybody always thought I was the soccer coach when we came to schools recruiting, or wrestling. I'm there for wrestling.
Good morning, everyone. It is my pleasure to welcome all of you to today's North Florida Athletics Press Conference, where you will hear from Director of Athletics Nick Morrow and Coach Matthew Driscoll. Coach Driscoll will start with an opening statement, followed by questions from the media, which you will raise your hand and indicate your outlet. And then Director of Athletics Nick Morrow will follow in the same format. Hired on April 7, 2009, Driscoll is the winningest head coach in program in Atlantic Sun Conference history. A three-time A-Sun Conference Coach of the Year, Driscoll led the program to 4 A-Sun Conference championships and his first ever NCAA tournament appearance. However, the hallmark of Driscoll-led teams was the overall impact both on and off the court. Under his leadership, North Florida graduated every student-athlete that exhausted eligibility, in addition to countless other academic and community service accolades. The accolades are numerous, but his impact on everyone that has come through the program and has come in contact with him is truly immeasurable. Coach Driscoll, Ms. Perry, thank you. Coach, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Nate. I'm wearing my same suit that I wore when Coach Moon introduced me. Same tie. Only difference is my hair's longer, because on that particular day, I wanted to make sure the guys understood what was about to transpire. So I made sure it was cropped and cropped tight. But Carrie said, let it be a little bit more free-flowing today, so thank you. Nick, I'm going to talk about you in a little bit, but thank you for this opportunity to help share and others understand the true narrative of what today and what this 16 years is about. But a side note, a little PSA, how about our softball team last week getting to the championship, playing 2 games, beating Virginia? Beach volleyball, by the way, beach volleyball since 2012, I think used to be called sand. I think they've been one of the most decorated programs, maybe in the entire country, with all the championships they've won. And Coach Wright, I know, is here, and really admire and respect what he's done. And then also, too, track's crushing it. NCAA East Regionals here this weekend coming up. And get the tickets are on sale. But 6 of our runners, maybe even more, depending on what happens, will be out there. I'll be out there helping move hurdles as always we do here, because it's such a tight-knit family. But also, too, Aiden O'Gorman, just amazing what he does. But Samilla, let's give it up for Samilla. She's got the 3rd fastest time in the history of women's college Division I athletics. And so when you got the 3rd fastest time, you're special. This program has always been about we and about us. We, well, I guess me, I actually established the first ever, and it's continued, and now it's actually starting to get some waves. Coaching Staff of the Year. I refused. They did not send a plaque that said Coach of the Year. I refused. It'll never say, and it didn't say. And also, too, it's not the winningest coach, it's the winningest coaching staff, because it's always been about we and us. Because it takes a village in order to do what you have to do. and especially at this level, with obviously all the things that you have to navigate and as you go forward. Everybody in our program, whether it be the managers, whether it be the assistant coaches, whether it be the strength coaches, whether it be the everybody gets to shine. Everybody gets to shine. It's always been that way. It'll always be that way. However, I get the question all the time because I'm very, very, very present in this community for 16 years. I don't go anywhere without having North Florida something on. And it's amazing, even yesterday at Dunkin' Donuts when a guy came up to me and said, "Coach, I love listening to you on the radio." And so even hearing my voice and not even knowing what I look like I love and always have loved and will love the University of North Florida. However, I get this question all the time. "Hey, you're the head coach at North Florida." I get that question all the time. And my answer is always the same. Only when we lose. And I say that to lead into this job and this seat, besides President Lamayam's, is the hottest, most important seat on the campus. Whoever sits in this seat has got an incredible, incredible opportunity and also expectation to help take this university to a place or places that we've been before and we need to continue to go to. And for 16 years, I've understood that wholeheartedly. Last night, while I was waiting for Carrie to come back from Italy, I was listening to 92.5, and I probably shouldn't have been, because I usually listen to K-Love as I've gotten older, because Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, and it's always great to pour in the love of Jesus and feel good about what's going on. But the producer of the show was talking with Rick Ballou, and the producer of his show is a UNF grad. And I'm not sure his name, but he was saying some very, very hurtful to me, personally, things. And he didn't mean to be that way. And he wasn't not telling the truth. But it just resonated deeper in my soul that when you're the head coach at the University of North Florida and you do what you do and you did what we did, the standards and the expectations are through the roof. So nothing's ever good enough, as Mr. Haight always says, right? Good enough isn't good enough unless you're going to the NCAA tournament. And when he said that and Carrie got in the car, if you know me very well, first thing I said to Carrie is, I need to call this guy. Not to get on the show. I need to call this guy and help him because he's a grad. I called 3 times. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. 3 times. He didn't answer. Carrie said, that's it. You don't call him again. Carrie probably will be missed more than I will be missed. I don't know if you guys know this, but for 16 years, she makes the desserts for every home game. She loves our student athletes as much as I do. And she pours in. And anybody that's a wife of a coach knows sitting in them stands isn't fun. Because everybody can coach. And she's been my rock. She's been my everything. She's always been with me. And I'm grateful that Carrie, 30 years ago, came into my life. President Delaney obviously went out on a limb. I wasn't the first choice, but it don't matter. The only thing that matters is who wins. And so I'm really, really grateful that he did that and he chose me to come here sight unseen, never step foot on campus. But I didn't need to because God had put it in my heart that this is where you need to go. This is where I'm calling you to go. Could have stayed at Baylor. We just wanted to, could have stayed there and went to the Elite Eight the next year, and who knows what would have happened. But That's not what God wanted, and I'll explain that in a minute. Dr. Szymanski, of course, did a great job and was here during our third championship. And President Lamayam, if you don't know him, he's got an incredible personality. He's got a side to him that makes you feel welcomed every time you're around him. But he has something that people don't realize. Because anybody that's a visionary, because if you don't have a vision, the people are going to perish, right? What it says in Proverbs, right? However, if you don't step up the stairs, then you're only going to be staring at the vision. And that's what he does. He's just stepping up these stairs, and he is moving this university to heights and to places. But again, like everything else in life, you can't do it without you. We can't do it without us. And we've got to continue to support that as we move forward. Coach Moon, I'm going to tell you guys a little life lesson. Don't burn a bridge. I'm a big believer in dots on a map. You put dots on a map your whole life, and you connect the dots. You don't know when. It might not be immediately, but those dots are very important to your life. In 1997-98, I was an assistant at the University of Wyoming. When I was an assistant at the University of Wyoming, we got the Clemson job in 98. Coach Moon called me into his office and said, Coach, I want you to stay. I'm going to pay you this amount of money. I'm going to make Carrie the most highest paid cheerleading coach in America. How about that one? And then I'm going to make sure you get taken care of. And when this next guy coming in leaves, you're going to become the head coach at the University of Wyoming. After a lot of, friction, if you know Coach Moon, as I continued to say no, 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 he became more and more and more animated. Jesus wasn't in his heart at the moment. Of course, Jesus unsettled the temple too. He wasn't real happy he went in the temple. But you never burn a bridge, and we agreed to disagree. And then, of course, 11 years later, he's the athletic director that brings me to the University of North Florida. So I'll always be grateful and indebted to Coach Moon and what he means in my life, especially from a Christian standpoint in the way in which we've allowed that to continue to grow in our walk. This dude right here, I'm going to tell you something in a minute. So I'm going to talk more about this dude. And we've known each other now for 15 years. And sort of like our staff taking over, Coach Moon's staff taking over, that's how you leave a legacy. That's called significance. When you walk away and you know that it's not only it's in a great place, but it's going to grow. And it's going to even be better than when it began. That's called significance. And that's what he's part of, and I'm going to explain to you in a minute. Like administrators, Irvin and Donna, Nancy, have got, I don't want to screw up the rest of this thing. I want to move through it. So no more names. Forget I said that. Forget you people. Because I know I miss, Josh Baker was our manager, and he's mad at me now because I didn't say. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. So I'm not going to mention any more names. My colleagues that are here over the years, it's incredible to see and to know what you've meant to me and the respect that I have for you and the championships that we've won together, the losses that we've suffered through together. Media. Man, you guys have treated me so well. I'm not going to say your name, but you coached one day, and somebody put out a video yesterday, had me doing push-ups. In the video, they say video don't lie. That one did, because I didn't swear. But I had to do push-ups because I missed a layup, but he didn't put that in there. But I am going to mention one person, because it's actually an accomplishment for me. Because technically, I beat Gene before Gene can run me out of town. So I'm happy that I beat Gene in something. And Gene and I's relationship is really goes to a lot of different levels. One time during Lent, he did push-ups and sit-ups with me. And so I'm going to explain to you how the timeline broke down. And then I'm going to tell you a couple stories. And then we're going to open the floor for questions. For about 3 years now, I've wrestled with walking away. God had been tugging at me, and saying some things and I really, really vacillated. There's people in this room, only a handful, that know because they were my wisest counsel and my confidants that I went to for guidance. And as I wrestled, it wasn't time. As much as I thought it was in my heart, it was time. And then I think, okay, God, I know why you brought me here because I can see it, but why do you want me to stay here now? Like, come on, man. Why? Coach Kennon's going to get married. Ashley, amazing, wonderful woman. Be there for that. And then he's going to lose his father-in-law to one of the worst diseases in America, in the world, ALS. And like, maybe Coach Perkins he's going to fight and beat cancer. Like, stay there for that. Be there for that. Coach Evans, my goodness, he's got some deaths going on. He's got an amazing son who's finishing. Now his son's going to graduate high school and his wife's on the verge of retiring, and he's not here today because he's on a cruise, which is going to come up in a minute. By the way, one of our players is on a former cruise. Charles McCroy's cruising with him. Maybe I need to be here for that and be here with him. Maybe it's Chase. Maybe I need to be here with Grace and to see my grandson Baylor come into this world. Maybe it's for my youngest, Paxton. I need to be here for Paxton. I mean, maybe it's today. He's going to be here for this joyous occasion. He's going to leave and he's going to go mourn the loss of one of his dearest friends in that tragic accident you all read about about a week ago, where a father and his son were struck by a car crossing the street. I don't know. Maybe it's Coach Burt, the birth of his first child, the marriage that was kind of made come together, our strength coach, and then all of a sudden, Jackie and Eli, they're all becoming maybe I need to pour into them. Maybe it was Coach Fred, our strength coach, because we helped raise his son. We helped raise his son to be a grown man now. But also, too, he just lost his father-in-law and his father. Maybe that's why you want to be here. Well, when I had my meeting with Nick on May 19th, at the end of the meeting, the most, the eggshell part of it, what are we going to do? Everybody wants you to fire me. Nobody wants you to extend me. What are we going to do? Right, that awkward moment, right? So I looked at Nick, if you know me, and I said, you know what, Nick? It's probably best you fire me. It's only a 20-week buyout. Who cares? It's penance. It's nothing. Like, just pay me the 20 weeks. Our staff can go get some jobs because it's early. It's probably best that you let me go. This joker laughed. And I'm thinking to myself, not the reaction I expected. This joker says, actually, Coach, I got a 2-year extension for you. I went to the president and said, we're going to hedge on him. We're going to take him to 2028. He'll be 64. We're going to allow him this $1 million brand new locker room that some of you in this room helped pay for. We're going to allow him to be a part of this new revenue sharing where maybe Jalen Smith, instead of going somewhere for 150, we can keep him maybe for 100. You've earned this opportunity. And I'm not going to be the AD that gets rid of you for someone else and give them everything and you don't get anything. I'm not going to be that dude. That, in a nutshell, tells you who he is. He was perfect for the beginning of Division I. He is perfect for where this university and this athletic department is going. I'm telling you, I'm old. I've been in this. I've got more ADs that sent me texts from over the years than you can imagine. This dude is the real deal. And I'm telling you right now, this place is going to go this way, onward and upward to their true north. So I leave. I'm not sure. I don't feel right. I go home, I tell Carrie, she's awesome, but I just don't feel right. Friday, yeah, Baylor, I didn't feel right. Friday, I get the contract on my desk. The 21st, I don't sign it. Following Friday, the 28th, I sign it. Why'd you sign it, Coach? I signed it because I didn't want to hurt Nick's feelings. But I didn't want to sign it. But I didn't want to hurt Nick's feelings. This guy went and fought for me. Some of you in this room were telling him to fire me. Not personally, just because you want to win more. I get it. But I signed it. I gave it to him. The following Thursday, and I can't explain it all to you because it's a lot. God said, because of intentional prayer from Coach Tang, for what Coach Tang was praying for within Coach Tang's program, and for who I am when we were together for the 6 years, that in his words, carried on for his whole 22-year career, or 19-year career at Baylor. Never left, Drisk. You never left. You were always here. I've been praying for that guy. And I said, if you know me, well, listen, I got, like, this dude's really good, this dude's really good, this dude's really good. He said, you ain't listening. I want you. And God called me. And now everything started happening. And what's crazy is when all that stuff happened, there's not a single person in this room that knew anything was going on except you don't look well. Is everything okay? And your weight looks low. I'm about 137 right now. I'm close to featherweight, I think. Bantam, feather, I'm in that area. And it was just weighing on me, and I'm praying on it, and I'm getting all these different things. But I'm also cleaning up after the Blue-Gray Bash. I'm moving hurdles. I'm getting teamworks done. We're bringing in amazing recruits. This team's really special, by the way. Really special. Like, this team's going to be really, really good. You'll see. And so I'm wrestling, I'm fighting, I'm wrestling, I'm fighting. And actually, if you know me well, work brings profit. And talk leads to poverty. And I ain't about that. And as I went about what I was doing, and as I was going through what I was doing, I went and spoke in Indiana, and I went and spoke in Nashville. And while I'm speaking, I love basketball. And I just coaching it and coaching it and coaching it and loving it and loving it. And I'm like, man, why would I do this? Why just, why am I'm not going to do this. So Carrie and I are having this conversation, like, I'm not going to do it. And then Devin Hines called. Devin Hines, who's he? You'll see. He's good, boy. Good. You're going to love Devin Hines. Come from Lafayette. Coach Kennan saw him when he was a young joker down in South Florida. He's good, boy. And Devin and I had this incredible conversation about how he wants to commit. And I was just walking into church. Just walking into church. And I'm positive when I yelled, let's go, when he committed, the church was like, whoa, my gosh. Either someone's getting saved or we got to call the police, right? And so when he called, our relationship and the way in which we connected, he spoke to me. And he said, Coach, don't let your passion, Coach Lewis, right, overrule your logic. And you could just feel that at that moment, I needed to go. Over the weekend, I went to church when I got back home. And over that weekend when I went to church, Father said some really, really important things to me. And at that moment, that's when I walked into Nick's office on May 6th. Completely shocked him, obviously. And the first thing he said to me is, I had no idea. And you know what I said to him? Good. Because I'm a really faithful servant. And I'll always be. And so it wasn't about me or it. It was about North Florida when it needed to be about North Florida. And so we worked our way through that. We worked through how this was going to unfold. And the one thing Nick asked me at the very, very end, because at the end of the May 19th meeting, he said, if you ever want to walk away from this thing, I understand. But I want to give you this 2 years. And at the end of this conversation, he said something even better. He said, Coach, are you at peace with this? And I looked Nick right in the eye, and I said, I am so at peace with this so at peace with this that I can't wait to see what God has, because God brought me here, and look what happened in 16 years. Oh my goodness, it's unbelievable. So what has he got next? If he's taking me from this, what could be next? And so I'm in complete peace with it. And of course, everything else is history. 16 years ago, Coach Kennedy and I on a Wednesday with 2 shirts from Robert Talley got in a car and drove south. Every single night we washed a shirt in the sink, dried it, wore the other one, and flipped it all the way through Sunday, which was Easter Sunday. During that trip, Will Wilson, Osprey, David June, Osprey, Jerron Granberry, Osprey, Andy Diaz, Osprey, Brad Hagebrook, Osprey. You think God didn't have that ordered? All of them. We got them all. And they all set the foundation to where we were going. In 2009, before we started in August, there's a small gym to your left of the hospitality suite. We took the team up there. We played one shining moment. We had a sign that said March Madness, and we practiced cutting down the net. Right? What did I say earlier? Where there is no vision, the people will perish. And we didn't stare up the ladder. We stepped and did what we're eventually going to do. Later on that year, we played in a tournament in Gulfport, Mississippi. And the coaching staff, I think, was a little bit, thought I was nuts and probably shouldn't do it. But I didn't care, because sometimes you just do things. We won a tournament. We beat Southern Miss in the championship game. I guess technically the first money game we ever won, but they only gave us like 40 grand. But we beat Southern Miss. And after the game, I asked the guy, here's $20. Can we please go cut down the net? And so we did. And you got to continue to lay these layers in. That night, we went to the casino they were keeping us at, and we all got dessert, because that's what you do when you went on the road. You get dessert. That was December 23rd, 2009. I know that date like in the back of my hand, because that night, I gave up desserts until we win an ASUN championship, or I'm no longer the coach. So, do the math. 6 years later, on March 8th, 2015, Oreo ice cream, like it was nobody's business. And so it was a great time for our program. We did something that year, too, that really shook a lot of heads, that kind of went along with Coach Moon in a minute said. Belmont, big, bad, bold, Rick Byrd, Belmont, the king of the hill. The very first game we ever played against them, we beat them in our gym on our home floor in front of 100 students that had no idea how to rush the floor, like the 6,155 that did it on March 8th. 45-43 was the final score, because Coach hired me because I was a defensive guy. And you guys are like, man, what happened to that? Hey, just so you know, 4 years ago, we were the best defensive team in the league. So sometimes things don't go the way you want. 45-43, we beat them, and we sent a message to the league that, like, this program's for real. When you move forward through that, Coach Moon at my press conference said, in 2 to 3 years, we'll be playing for a championship. That's what he said. Phil Pierce, rest his soul, my realtor, I said, Phil, 3 things are going to happen. I'm going to win and get another job. I'm going to get a contract extension, or they're going to fire me. So we prefer to rent, not own. Coach Moon put it out there. He spoke it to existence. Our second year with a whole bunch of sophomores and guys that didn't understand, but they knew one thing. If we compete, good things can happen. We beat JU for the first time. Everybody said, JU, what do you think about the rivalry with JU? I said, rivalry? How can you have a rivalry if you never beat them? There's no such thing as a rivalry until you... So, I think we're 22-21 now all time. Are we the lead, Nate? Are we the leader against them now? So in 16 years, we become the leader. And recently, it's like 19-7, so still not a rivalry. And so Coach Moon said 2 to 3 years. And in 2011, we beat JU for the first time, East Tennessee State for the first time. And what you people don't realize is UNF got on the map that night. It was a Friday night. And what happens on ESPN on Friday night? Not top 10, right? David June got the pants during the game. I didn't even know it. I didn't even know we made the not top 10 because I was worried about playing Belmont in the championship. But we made it. We beat East Tennessee State. We played Belmont in the championship. And it was the first time that we competed on ESPN for the championship. One of the players on that team, and I'm not going to mention all the players, but some Hall of Fame and all-decade guys, I think they can be mentioned and nobody will get mad at me. Jermaine, Eney, I know you, Stan, and Eney, I know you guys started the program. Jermaine cut his hair before we got here because he heard that the coach doesn't like either long hair or something. And so Jermaine came in, cut, and then he looked at me and I said, Jermaine, just so you know, I'd have been fine if you'd have pulled it back in a bun. And he looked at me like, oh my goodness, I can't believe it. So Parker Smith, right? Life's about dots on a map, I told you, with Coach Moon. And you never know, because if you don't embrace where your feet are planted with a genuine purpose, treating others the way you want to be treated, but most importantly, as my daddy said, no matter how they're treating you, you just don't know how that comes full circle. 1995, I was working Clemson's camp, and a JV basketball coach was working. And what do JV basketball coaches become? Varsity basketball coaches. 2009, 10, 9, we get the job. I get a phone call from that guy who the ACC coach, right? All these coaches walk around strutting their stuff instead of being good human beings. Just treat people right. Well, he gave us Parker Smith, first Hall of Famer ever. 46 points everybody talks about. You know, obviously greatest scoring in a single game. Everybody talks about it. He was 1 for 11 on Saturday. Met with a psychologist and went 11 for 17. Guess what happened that was Monday. Guess what happened Tuesday? The whole team had a list of lineups for the psychologist. Can we get in? Can we get in? I said, bro, y'all can't shoot like this joker. 2012, you know, recruiting, I think sometimes when I became, and I'm proud of this, in 2008, I was named the 9th best assistant coach in the country. And I'm proud of that. And I'll tell you why. Number one, was voted on by my peers. So it wasn't like it was, this media people. And number two, more importantly, they called me and said, Drisk, Tweety Carter, McDonald's All-American, you recruited him, right? Lacedarius Dunn, who ends up being the all-time leading scorer in Big 12 history, you recruited him, right? Bro, listen, that ain't how we do things. We don't pound our chest. He's my guy, I spent all this time. We always have, somebody's got to be the lead guy, right? But guess what? Lacedarius Dunn, when he came on his visit, he fell in love with Paul Mills, director of basketball operations. He wasn't even on the road. Who's the head coach of Wichita State now, right? Recruiting's about family. Recruiting's about togetherness. Recruiting's about your heart, right? We talk all the time, right? Thong, 2-piece, 1-piece, right? We talk about that all the time with recruits. It don't matter, right? Triplets. It don't matter. It's what's in your heart that matters. And so they wrote that. They said recruits, staff. And I'm proud of that because it's really, really important. And when you recruit, there's so many different things that go on. You don't know what triggers what. We were going to recruit Bo Beach. Bo Beach is the single person whom, with Bebe Daniels, those two, not singling out anybody else, but those two, Bo specifically said, Coach, when he committed, I'm coming to the University of North Florida, and we are going to win an A-Sun championship, and we're going to the NCAA tournament. That's what we're going to do. Well, we almost couldn't do it because Donna was worried about a violation, and Nancy, they were worried about a violation that they had heard about. Coach Kennan wrote 275 handwritten notes to Bo, and he put them in a shoebox. And as we were walking in to see Bo, our school was walking out. And they turned us in and said we were cheating. We were giving them free shoes. And Coach Kennan was just recruiting and helping us secure Bo Beach, one of the 9 players and 2 more to go, Dorian James and Jose Plaisir, that I've officiated their weddings. So it's really, really a cool thing. Bebe Daniels, all-decade, Bo, all-decade. Bebe, I can't go on to him very long. How we got him is dots on a map. If it wasn't for Larry Shiat, he wouldn't be here. If it wasn't for Jeremy Shiat, his son on our staff, Bebe wouldn't be here. When Bebe visited, he came in a Crown Vic, Coach Moon. He came in a Crown Vic, Coach Moon. Does it ring a bell? Coach Moon had a nice person give Coach Moon a Crown Vic for us to use for recruiting. We called it Big Blue. You drove that thing, it floated like it was nobody's business. But Bebe visited, his school car was a Crown Vic. So when I went to go see Bebe play football, by the way, one of the best two-point conversion guys in the world, by the way, I took the Crown Vic because that's recruiting. I took Chase one game, and I took Paxton one game. And I showed Bebe after every game, look, we're just like you. We got the Crown Vic. But you don't know what God really has in store because Bebe's mother is unbelievable. And Bebe's mother is one of 3 people I know right now who went through stem cell at the Mayo and is a survivor and is doing unbelievable. And we prayed for her like it was nobody's business. And I sent her the 1-0 sign every single day, just go 1-0. And I love your mother because she always held you accountable. And I knew it was going to be easy to coach you because of that. You know, Dallas Moore, the greatest scorer in Division I history in the state of Florida, Billy Donovan tried to screw that whole thing up. And Billy just couldn't keep his mouth closed. And we knew what we had. We had went and saw him, and he was young, and Billy just kept on telling all his boys, you got to recruit him, you got to recruit him. And I kept saying, Coach, would you please be quiet? Would you please be quiet? Well, he didn't. Kept on running his mouth. So Dallas goes to Vegas, and I said to Dallas, listen, the only person I'm coming to Vegas is to see you, and I can't just go see you because we don't get you. We got to get these other guys. So if I come to Vegas, are you coming? He said, Coach, if you come to Vegas, it's going to mean the world to me. And I said, okay, I'm coming to Vegas. When I went to Vegas, Billy Donovan had 2 McDonald's All-Americans on that team, Hill and Walker. Guess who else was on that team? Joel Embiid. Dallas had a heck of a team. Well, guess what? Who was there? Billy Donovan. He sat there. I sat there. I wasn't going to sit anywhere near that joker. He wasn't screwing this up. So Dallas, a man of his word, commits. Like Coach Evans, I decided to take the family on a 4-day cruise right out of town. As you're on a cruise, what doesn't work? Your phone. He calls me on the phone. Voicemail. Coach Taylor did an amazing job. And as he did an amazing job, he called him and he didn't answer. Dallas turned to his dad. And guess what he said? He said, Dad, God don't want me to go to North Florida. And he said, that's a strong statement, son. Why do you say that? Because they're not answering my call. How many times did you call? What did I tell you guys earlier? How many calls do we get? 3. He called Coach Kennan. Praise God, he answered the phone. Next thing you know, I get off the boat. I had more text messages than I had when I just resigned yesterday. I'm scrolling. I'm like, Dallas Moore committed. And the thing about Dallas is, it started this thing we do. And this is crazy, but I went to a Christian men's retreat, and we talked about it, and then it came to fruition because our staff kept hearing it on the road in different years. It's called the Family Series. History, highlight, heartache, hero, hope. History, highlight, heartache, hero, hope. And man, you talk about an incredible, incredible deal. And I'm not going to share it all with you, but Dallas's biggest fan, greatest supporter, died the end of our first championship when we went to the NCAA tournament. He died between the Stetson and Lipscomb game. Actually, he died before that. We didn't tell him for the right reasons. And so the Family Series has been a huge, huge part. 2015, what a year. Everybody wants to talk about beating Purdue, the first Power 5 you ever beat. And then the A-Sun Championship, and then the tournament championship, and the 6,155, and the Sarah Walsh, and all the media, and what that meant to our university. That's what everybody wants to talk about. But you know what really transpired in 2015? Northwestern. Northwestern? Y'all lost to them. Dude hit a pull-up jumper, tie score to beat you. Couldn't execute down the stretch. The guy blocked your throw and you lost. That day in our locker room was the first time that our guys ever cried. And our staff knew we're going to win a championship. Fast forward, we play Alabama. Romello Banks is having the most incredible game of his life. I don't know, 2 minutes to go. He gets a pass in the post. Could have went for a score. Romello skipped the ball to Aaron Bodiger. Aaron Bodiger buried a 3. I called timeout. I brought them all in. I said, listen to me, men. Because of that servant, because of that heart, because of what he understands is a team, we're going to win the A-Sun. And that's Florida Gulf Coast, the whole team coming back after that Sweet 16. Coach, give me an ultimatum. You got to go this and this. Like, all that stuff. It was all part of it. God just knew. And it all started with that Northwestern. And then Bebe telling us to reset. And, of course, the following year, we won our second championship, beat Illinois, another Power 5, and play NIT. Florida at home was awesome. And then in 2017, I want to tell you about this Wajid Aminu guy. And so, another good lesson for you. There's a lot of lessons that you're going to learn today in life. So, in 2010, Epe Udo flew me to the NBA draft because he wanted to reward me for all of my hard work at Baylor that I poured into him. And so when I went there, he was the 6th pick. The 8th pick was a guy named Al-Farouq Aminu. And when Al-Farouq Aminu and Epe Udo were taking their pictures behind the big screen, Epe said, Driss, come on, come back. I need to take your picture. When I went back, there was an 11-year-old boy back there. And that 11-year-old boy was Al-Farouq's brother. And I, of course, no violation, statute of limitations are up. I gave him a big hug. I said, hey, you're going to be better than your brother. You know, just mess around with the 11-year-old boy. It was Wajid. It was Wajid Aminu. No idea who he was. Who'd have thunk 6 years later he was going to come to the University of North Florida as a 17-year-old, but he almost didn't come. That's the best part of the story. Because I told the staff after the summer, he ain't good enough. We got to find somebody else. To a staff member, Ian's in the room, he knows, everybody said, Coach, you're wrong, you're nuts. We have a rule. If you don't have an opinion, don't give one. And don't say what everybody else just said, because we're just wasting time. They all to a man said, Coach, you're wrong. You're wrong. And that's why, if you want to be really good at this job, you better be a good listener, and you better understand that sometimes you don't see everything the way everybody else sees everything. And so I listened. 4-1, we did everything. We brought him in. He worked out. I loved on him. I told him he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And bada bing, bada boom, he leads us to our last championship in 2020. All-time block, all-time rebounder. And unfortunately, guys, he should be on the all-decade team. But a coach in the league, because I know, because when you vote, you get to see the votes. A coach in the league purposely didn't put him in a certain place. And if you remember, he lost by 1 vote. That kid should be all-decade. He deserves to be all-decade. But he never will get to be, and he don't care. You know, Garrett Sams, one of the greatest players to ever play all decade. I think he's the third leading scorer. You know, Garrett Sams and Carter Hendrickson, they got some Bo Beach in them too. So Garrett Sams was part of our championship team. He's also on the team that played in the championship on ESPN at Florida Gulf Coast to go to the NCAA tournament. Garrett came in the office after being the second vote getter in the All-League and said, Coach, I'm going to transfer. And if you know us, we said, that's awesome. God bless you. How can we help you? What schools do you want us to call? All that stuff. So fast forward that same year, remember, Bo was the Cinderella story of the Summer League. Bo had a license plate, UNF to NBA. People thought he was nuts. But guess what? Brooklyn Nets didn't think so. Next thing you know, he's the darling of the UNF's map just got bigger and bigger. He's ESPN. He's all over it. He's the darling because his name's Beach and our school's right here. Like it's a no-brainer. Mark Jones was unbelievable. The announcer. He's on their 18-man roster. He plays in the G League. He tears his ACL. In Romans 8:28, it says, the unseen. The Jeremiah 29:11, everybody knows, prosper. The Romans says the unseen. Tears his ACL. Well, where does he rehab? University of North Florida. While he's rehabbing, he comes in on a Sunday. He texts Garrett. Says, hey, where are you at? He said, I'm in the library. I want to come give you a hug because I may never see you again. That's our culture. That's our family. That's what we built. Well, he goes over and sees him in the library. He said, bruh, you must have some unbelievable finals. You look terrible. And Garrett looks at him. He said, man, Bo, I made a huge mistake. I shouldn't transfer. Like, well, call coach. Coach already gave my scholarship away. Just call coach. If you don't call coach, I'm calling coach. He called me. I said, gee, I can't talk to you right now. I'm recruiting. But when I get home, let's go to Waffle House and have breakfast. Told Garrett, we ain't got no scholarships. We had one. And I didn't lie. I said, we only have one scholarship, but we offered it to a kid. He's going to tell us Tuesday, and I'm not taking it off him. I know you're great, and I know you're going to be great, but I'm a man of my word. And he said, Coach, I understand. Tuesday night, the kid called me. I'm going to show you how it went. Hey, Coach, I just want to let you know. Hey, man, congratulations. You're going to do wonders. I really appreciate you. Thanks for letting us recruit you. Garrett, hey, man, we got a scholarship. Come on, let's go. You ready to bring it on? Dude went somewhere else. God said, hey, you go there. Let this joker come back here. 1,600 points, helped us get to our next championship. Obviously, he's with the Memphis Grizzlies right now. Heck, he might even be a coach here someday or in college someday. You never know. So Carter is interesting because he has the beauty of everything. And here's where you guys don't understand the power of going to the NCAA tournament and the power of all that stuff. Well, guess who was watching the NCAA tournament? Carter Hendrickson and his father. And guess what they saw? Bo Beach make 8 threes. You see Bo Beach make 8 threes and you're Carter Hendrickson. What are you thinking? Where's this school? What's this school about? Guy calls me on the phone. He said, Coach, I got a dude who's just like Bo Beach. I said, yeah, I hear that a lot. He said, I'm sure you do. He said, Coach, trust me on this one. And a guy that I trusted. He said, but nobody knows. His family wants to move to Florida. Nobody knows. I said, okay. I went and saw him. I told Coach Evans, you go watch this kid. If he's any good, I'll text you. You come join me. Carter was absolutely awful. He stunk. He couldn't make a shot. He couldn't make a pass. He was terrible. He competed like it's nobody's business. He made every right play that you could possibly make. And on that particular day, it just wasn't flowing or falling for him. I called Coach Evans. I said, hurry up, get over here. I think we're going to get this dude. I think we're going to get... That night, I offered him a scholarship. And he stunk. Real quick story. Go to recruit him. All these coaches are there. He had sprained his ankle, but he wanted to prove to all these coaches that he was still a good player. I go in to see him, and a guy next to me says, Drisk, man, like, I thought this Hendrickson kid was better than he is. He didn't know he sprained his ankle. And I turned to him, and I said, I know, me too. That night at Culver's, we took care of business and got that done. And then lastly, I'm going to leave this with you before I read this letter. I know the last 5 years have been very, very thin. I know 2 of the last 3 years, our program has been imploded because guys have been able to go make some money the first time and a lot of money this last time. I know it hasn't been the way you want it to be. But I know one thing. We didn't stop. We didn't stop pouring into them. We didn't stop loving on them. And Jazz Lanier is the greatest example of that. 17 points as a freshman. Could have very easily left us. Jose and Jarius are coming back. But he decided to bet on himself because he trusted us. Unfortunately, he didn't believe in himself, but he trusted us. And because of that, if you look at his evaluation after his 3rd year, averaging 5 points a game, the very last sentence says, If you believe in yourself and play with the confidence that you just played with the last 5 games, you are going to have an incredible story to tell for many years to come. I just left Chaz. He's going to probably be a late first, early second. And I'm going to tell you why he's special. Because when the organization put on the demonstration of their talent, when do you want your most talented player to go? Last. Why? So everybody can see him. Well, Coach, how do you know that? Because another agency came in after. And all those GMs and all those head coaches and all those scouts, when Chaz got done, guess what they did? They got up and left. And they didn't care about whoever else was coming out on the floor. They were all there to see Chaz Lanier, graduate of the University of North Florida, proud product of the University of North Florida men's basketball. And Tennessee is going to own him. I understand it. Jerry West Award, I understand it. But he's going to be our first ever draft pick. And we're going to praise him for him betting on himself, but believing in us. This is going to be difficult. It's not very long. It's going to be on, I'm going to put it on social media later. But this, in a nutshell, is going to culminate. Those of you that are in the room that know me, those of you that are in the room that are assistants, those of you that are in the room that are former players, former managers, those of you that are in the room that have been on the inside of our family, a lot of this will resonate. For many of you, it'll sound awkward. It'll sound very, very whatever. But for many of you, I'm just going to read it because I wrote it about 8 times. As I sit with all the memories, moments, and the mission that we shared, my heart overflows with gratitude. Thank you for every single ounce of effort, sacrifice, and love that you gave. What we built together goes far beyond the game of basketball. It was about how we chose to serve, lead, and love with humility and heart that words can barely begin to capture. It was about who we became. Team together. From day one, we chased the next right thing. Not always the easiest path, because if it was easy, everyone would do it. But always the one that was anchored in truth, love, and discipline. Our values weren't words. They were lived out daily, going 1-0. You've embodied that many hands make light work, not just in the hours on the courts or the specifics in a scout, but in the rebounds, the water bottles we filled, every rep in the weight room, every huddle that we gathered, every moment that we looked into each other's eyes and we said, I got you. That's what family does. And that's what we are. Knowing that we are part of something far bigger than ourselves. We learn to love together, suffer together through comfort and challenges, navigating the ebbs and flows, and learning to get comfortable being uncomfortable. We held our standards and our expectations really high, academically, socially, and athletically, especially when things got hard. Because we don't see things as we are, it's because we don't see things as they are, we see things as we are. And each of you chose to see this program through a lens of love, faith, and what I call a disciplined commitment to consistency. You carried a servant's heart, no matter the circumstance, humble in your actions, relentless in your pursuit, You accepted criticism with a thick face, being comfortable in your own skin. And you responded with a competitive black heart, fierce, unwavering, and grounded in a deep, purposeful love for each other. We never ran from hard things. We stood tall in our truth, knowing that the person in the mirror always knows what's exactly in your heart. Personally, this journey was one of the greatest honors of my life. It was worth every second. It allowed me the privilege to pour into each and every one of you. And in doing so, you gave me something I'll never be able to repay. Your unconditional love. It's one of the greatest gifts I've ever received. We live life is 10% what happens and 90% how you react. And because of that attitude, it inspired actions, producing results. We were intentional in everything, in the purpose behind even the littlest details, knowing that they make the biggest difference. You changed my life. In more incredible ways than I could ever imagine. You made me a better man, a better husband, a better coach, but most importantly, a better human being. My prayer for you have been intentional, and they'll never end. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow's a mystery. Today is the greatest day you have. Be the difference. I love you. Always and forever. Stay blessed. I know I look casket sharp, Nick. Let's go.
Yeah. Tell you what, I knew you'd go for a little while, but that.
I practiced in the hotel in Vegas.
I probably should have asked how long that took.
I should have played the recording. It was much shorter.
Yeah, yeah. I know, and I'm going to do a little more reading than he did just to make sure I can get through it and cover the things I want to. This is one of the harder talking points, harder speeches, harder things to put together. Just to do it justice, do him justice and what he's accomplished and meant to the UNF community. So here we go. I'll give it a shot. And I know I speak for our other coaches, our administration, for UNF when I talk about how deeply grateful we are for Coach Driscoll and the lasting impact he's made on our university and our community. He's been one of the greatest ambassadors in UNF history, always representing the brand, always passionately sharing what makes UNF special. Not UNF basketball, not UNF athletics, UNF, and why it's so special. Over the years, he's become one of the most recognizable and beloved Ospreys of all time. So here's a few ways you might know who Coach Driscoll is. Obviously, his limitless energy, or maybe it's his spirited and charismatic personality. Maybe it's the active engagement with students, fans, and the campus community. Maybe it's his iconic, aggressive, let's go. Maybe it's the fact that he's the all-time winningest basketball coach in UNF history and ASUN conference history. Maybe it's the fact that he coached teams that consistently led the nation in three-point shooting. or he led a program that elevated UNF's national profile by winning an ASUN championship and competing in the NCAA tournament. Maybe it's his ear-piercing whistle that he does share that talent with his wife, Carrie. Always having a Dunkin' coffee in hand, which I hope we're getting some sponsorship revenue off that.
Finally.
Maybe it's the fact he is always quietly serving behind the scenes, whether that's pulling tarps after a major fundraiser or that's serving on the hurdle crew at a track meet. Maybe it's the fact he never says no to a speaking engagement. Maybe because he told millions of people during our NCAA tournament game that dudes are dudes and ballers and ballers. Maybe it's the fact that he handed out his phone number to every freshman at orientation. Maybe it's the fact he sends you text messages and you may have a hard time deciphering them. Or maybe it's because he officiated your wedding. However you know Coach Driscoll, one thing remains true. He is the most genuine person you will ever meet. He truly cares about everyone. He's impacted thousands of lives, and I'm confident I'll never meet anyone like him again. He's a friend to all, yet somehow makes each person feel like his closest friend. I also want to acknowledge Coach's wife, Miss Carrie. Her kindness, unwavering support, and legendary homemade treats have made a lasting impact on the UNF community as well. Over the past 16 years, she's touched just as many lives as Coach himself.
Yes.
Coach Driscoll and his family have changed the University of North Florida. Their legacy will live on forever at UNF, and all of Osprey Nation is deeply grateful for them. So Coach Driscoll, Ms. Carey, thank you.
Well, it's what it is, and we have comment. Best thing to do is have comment.
Thanks, Coach. Still giving life advice. I appreciate it. While we are here to celebrate Coach Driscoll, I'm also excited about the future of UNF basketball. Coach Bobby Kennan will serve as the interim head coach for the 25-26 season. We are so fortunate to have someone of Coach Kennan's caliber at UNF. Coach Kennan was Coach Driscoll's very first hire back in 2009. He embodies many of the same values and qualities that made Coach Driscoll so special. The program's success has been a shared effort, a testament to Coach Kennan and the dedicated longtime staff who have worked tirelessly alongside him. Coach Kennan, he's earned this opportunity and we have full confidence in his leadership. He will continue to guide this program with integrity, hard work, and a relentless commitment to excellence. As we move forward, it is critical that the UNF and Jacksonville communities support our basketball program at the highest level. Over the past 4 years, we've made significant investments in staffing, facilities, scholarships, and operations, investments that are vital to sustaining success in the ASUN Conference and beyond. While we're making progress, we still have work to do. To reach the top of our league, compete for elite recruits, and pursue championships every year, we must continue to grow. Let's honor Coach Driscoll's legacy by building on the foundation he helped establish, and by supporting the future of UNF basketball with the same passion and belief he brought every single day. Thank you.
Bullet points. All right, that's probably better.
Are we open the floor for questions now?
That was my goal. My goal was to make sure that it was very clear, it was crystal clear. And I wanted to make sure that, and when you do that and there's a least amount of questions, it's crystal.
But I do have one. What did you see in Coach Kennan when you brought him here? And what qualities have sustained over that 16 years? And what will be his best qualities moving forward?
When Coach and I met, we met in a camp situation back when I was at Clemson. And then when I got on the road at Clemson, he was the first person that I called. He was at Jacksonville University. and I said, listen, I'm coming to Florida. I need to recruit some Florida kids. Can you give me whatever? And so he gave me a whole laundry list. He gave me a whole mapped out, and said, this is where you need to go. This is who you need to see, yada, yada, yada. Jimmy Hudson was one of them from Eustis. And so I was at ACD over there with Coach Morgan as well, too. And so I did all that Coach did. And then, of course, we just continued with a relationship and a relationship. When you become a head coach, when you get an opportunity and you become fortunate to have that opportunity at 45, and you get your first head coaching job, it's really important to surround yourself with the right people. And you want to make sure that you have the people. You know, I should have wrote a book about it because I've been talking about this since the 90s, but John Gordon gets the energy bus, right? And he's a multimillionaire, right? Get the right dudes on the bus. I just didn't say it that way. But Coach Kennan understood all that. And so when this was coming to fruition, this was coming around, he and Coach Evans were the first two people. And I said, listen, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. And I want you two, Coach Evans had just got let go at Lander, and so I want you two to come be a part of this. And Coach Kennan has always had three things that will always stand out about Coach Kennan. Number one, he has incredible integrity. Like, he really understands what that looks like and how that operates. Number two, he is really, really special. It's something that's so critical in life that we must never, ever take it for granted, what I said earlier, which is relationships. When you're around Coach Kennan, you can understand quickly how he builds those relationships, but most importantly, how he continues to foster them. Because we come from the same thread. You don't always want to go see a head coach at a high school when he has a player. You want to see a head coach at a high school anytime you're in his area, whenever you're around there. And because of all those relationships and the way he is with people. So that'd be number two. So integrity, the way he's relational. And then the third thing I think that people don't understand about Coach Kennan is he's got an incredible personality. Like, he's got an incredible sense of humor that I really admire, that I really, really respect and like, that I've always liked. He's got a way in which he handles people in moments, and he always came to my office and closed the door and had hard conversations with me. As a matter of fact, 1 month ago, he and I had a hard conversation on the court at the arena. Basically, almost about this. And so that's the thing about Coach. He's got that ability to have those conversations and to be uncomfortable in those moments, knowing that this is what I need to do and this is what needs to happen. So that's the one thing about Coach, what attracted me to him, and knowing that if I wasn't there, he could handle whatever it is that was going on. But if he was on the road, he was doing the things that I would want to do in the way in which I'd want to do them. And so he'll continue to do that here. He's obviously, like all of us, has grown in basketball. He's grown in his network. He's grown in his recruiting, which he's phenomenal. He's grown in all the areas that are critical to be a head coach. And he's ready to be a head coach. He's interviewed for head coaching jobs. Coach Evans interviewed for a couple of Division I head coaching jobs. Coach Perkins been with me since '06. He was a manager for us at Baylor. Like, he could be a head coach. Like, I don't know if he wants to, but he could. He's an amazing assistant. So, like, the staff is incredible, and the way in which we pour into each other is incredible. And Coach Kennan, he has all the intangibles that you want for someone that's going to sit in this seat.
Coach, how much are you looking forward to just being the assistant coach at K-State and getting away from all the other things? And will you be able to do that?
So, Coach Tang said to Kerry, what's Coach's holdup? Why is he, whatever? And Kerry said, Coach don't want to fail you. He don't want to fail you. And Coach said, Kerry, listen, I don't need fixed. I need help. And that's what I do. I mean, think about it. I've been part of the two most historical things in college basketball history. Not beating South Carolina and Georgia Tech, which, by the way, is the only team in the college basketball history to ever do that in the same week. We're the only ones to ever do that. Not that history. We took over a murder. We took over a murder together. He was a high school coach. Coach Mills was a high school coach coming in to a Division I Power 5 institution that just took over for a murder with a 31-year-old head coach. And I'm 39. I'm the old dude on the staff. I don't need you to fix me. Man, I can't wait. I can't wait to pour into them young dudes that are there. I can't wait to embrace the staff that they have because I know them all because I'm old. I've been around. I was a president of all the assistants at one time. Like, I can't wait to get on the floor and pour in, and Jose's going to come work out, and Vaughn's coming to work out, and Dallas is coming to work out, and Bo's coming to work out, and Chaz is coming. They already told me they're coming to work out. Like, I can't wait to do it because I love hoops. I love basketball because it gives you an avenue. It gives you an opportunity to pour into young people and help them understand that their heart is their heart, and they need to understand what it looks like moving forward. So I can't wait. Is it going to be difficult? Yeah. Have I asked people for advice? Yes. George Blaney started this for the UConn with Jim Calhoun. They won a lot of championships. Well, guess who the next guy was? Larry Scheid won 2 championships at Florida because Billy didn't like defense, right? So, Coach Moon, right? Shake your head, right? So, like, I understand what he wants me to do. And I'm going to go in there just like that. Is it going to be difficult? Of course. Is it going to be a little bit awkward? Of course. But guess what? So's life. 10% what happens and 9% how you react. And so I'm really, really excited to be on that staff, to be in that university, and to be with those young people. Because this is a different landscape. What he's done with this locker room, what he's doing with this revenue sharing, what we're doing as we move forward takes money and it takes all this stuff. But we're in a great place to do some great things. And I'm really, really excited about that. So yeah, I'm ready. Like, I'm ready. John? Oh, sorry. I apologize.
First off, thank you for the generosity and kindness you showed me in our short time together. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
What has been your message to the incoming freshmen with your departure?
Sure. We did it yesterday. And if you know me, Garrett Sams called his dad after talking to me when I was moving hurdles a couple weeks ago and said, Dad, something's wrong with Coach. And his dad said, what do you mean, Gary? What do you mean, G? He said, something's wrong with Coach. Like, there's something off. There's something he wanted to tell me. Coach never beats around the bush. And so, to that point, we got in front of him. We said, understand something. There's a reason you're all here. And it's not just because of your talent. But if you weren't talented, you wouldn't be here. Because we don't put square pegs in a round hole. We ain't hammering anything. We're putting round pegs in round holes, and this is the way in which we're going to do it. And your character and what you stand for is what we want in this program. And that's why we've been the way we've been, and we produce what we produce. And now everybody's taking the talent that we take. Because when they take somebody from our program, they ain't got to worry about anything except is he good enough. That's the only thing they got to worry about. They ain't got to worry about academics. They ain't got to worry about social. They ain't got to worry about people. Because they come from us, they know the kind of person they're getting. And with that said, and then I laid it on them. But I told them briefly, here's what happened. Here's where God's calling me. It's very clear. I mean, if you came in off Kernan today, anybody see what color the flowers were? Anybody know the flower color? Coming off Kernan on what color? Purple. Right? God he keeps sending messages. So I know where I'm supposed to go. And those guys understood that, and they were fine with that.
I got a question. Now that you're at Kansas State, do you think we could get a game guarantee? We're looking for one more money game, roughly in the $250,000 range. Like, yeah.
Funny you say that. One coach texted me and said, hey, you play us this year, don't beat us by 40. And I was kind. I was going to say, well, it helps our net. But as I was there, I felt awful because I was around those people. And they didn't know that I was coming. Their AD didn't know I was coming until sometime this week. He knew they had hired somebody, but they just didn't know who was coming. Because we wanted to make sure that we took care of this thing the right way. But Coach did ask me, and I did check with Coach Kennan. And by the way, because everybody wants to know, we do have Florida, right? We do got Tennessee, because Coach Barnes promised he'd play us, right? After he paid Chaz a lot of money. We do have Gonzaga again, and we do have Miami, and Coach is working on the next one. So, but yeah, 250.
Yeah, is that a note at 250 or? What?
I'm not even sure.
What if I told you I wrote that into your contract that you signed? Yeah.
Oh, the 2 year. Yeah, I did sign that.
Yeah.
I don't think President Lyon signed it.
Read the print.
I
Yeah.
don't think he signed it. It wasn't in Workday, Donna. It wasn't in Workday, so yeah, I'm not guilty of that one.
Hey, Nick, what are the expectations you're going to have
Yeah. Expectations don't change this year. You know, and Bobby talked about that with the team yesterday when we had the team Zoom, and I reiterated it, like, we're coming into this season competing for a NASUN championship. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say, well, he's got to win X number of games or win a championship to get the job. Like, that's not how I evaluate. You can talk to any of the coaches behind you. That's not how I operate. It's a holistic approach. How is the team managing? How they're responding? How are we progressing? And so, you know, right now, focus on supporting him and getting him the staff he needs to succeed this year, and making sure we get the resources in place. We're going to be opening up our arena locker room mid-September, so we'll have a celebration around that, and really just continue to build on the momentum we've got from a resource standpoint, and translate into winning and building up this program that everyone can be proud of.
Sometimes though, when you do give numbers, you can speak them into existence.
Right.
You can speak them into existence, right, Coach?
Do you have a,
Hey, I wish you'd have said 12 and 6.
I know this is all happening very quickly, but do you have a timetable when you're gonna start considering other candidates, or do you think that will happen after the end of next season?
Yeah, as you can imagine, when the news went out yesterday, my phone was blowing up in so many different ways, whether it's UNF supporters, agents, search firms, you know, other coaches that want the job. Like, it's been nonstop. Right now, we're focused on supporting Coach Kennan and the staff in place. We're going to support this team. I'm not going to be a distraction by talking to other coaches and agents and search firms while they're sitting there and competing and prepping for a season. You know, and so at some point during the year, Coach Kennan and I are going to meet on a weekly basis and really make sure that he's got what he needs to continue to coach this team, and the support, give him the support. And I don't want to be a distraction by sitting there and having conversations all year long. So it's not on my radar to have those right now. You know, once we get towards the end of the season and reevaluate where we're at, then we'll have that discussion.
So it's funny you said that. I actually met, their golf team's really good, and I met a young man, and he opened up his heart to me, which is amazing. His mental, he has the yips, so he took a red shirt because he can't make 4-foot putts. And it was just amazing just being there with him. But I shared that with him, that we do that. And it was kind of interesting. He didn't know who I was, you know, we just had a conversation, and it was cool. So I guess it's one of those moments where you just have those conversations. So yeah, Birdies and Buckets is, you know, Mr. Haight and what he meant, and four-time cancer survivor, maybe 5, but I'm gonna go with 4. And just, you know, it'll be our 12th year that we've done it with the golf team, and I think it's made incredible waves throughout the community as well too. So just another thing that our program was able to do.